The age-old question in the shooting community is, how much finger do I put on the trigger? Now, I've heard some guys say, you must put the trigger here, you must, it's absolutely necessary. Okay, if you're telling your students they must, then you probably haven't shot a whole lot. And the reason I say that is they are not realizing that everybody out there has different size hands, and all these guns fit our hands slightly differently. Okay, this is a SIG 320 that my buddy Al McCall put the grip on it so I can really hang on to this bad boy, and I've got a Delta Point Pro mounted up here, co-witnessed with my iron sights. It's got a built-in iron sight to co-witness with my front sight. Okay, all that being said, if I want to shoot fast, I'm going to put a little bit less finger on the trigger. If I'm going to shoot accurately, I'm going to put more finger on the trigger. So why does that make sense? The reason it should make sense to you is because you have more torque the closer that we go to our knuckle. So if I go in here, I have more torque to pull than I do out here. I have more strength. So if I want to be more precise, I go a little bit closer. If I want to be faster, I go a little bit farther out. None of the triggers that I'm shooting in my guns are exceptionally heavy anyway. If you're shooting a revolver, it's a little bit different. You might have to roll through and your finger might actually change a little bit as it pulls that trigger to the rear. Whereas with these semi-autos, we get on the trigger, we can kind of stay in that position. Okay, let me demonstrate that real quick. Just remember, try this out when you're on the range. A little farther out for speed, a little closer in for accuracy. If that doesn't work for you, find that spot that actually works for you. Okay, you instructors out there, open up your mind a little bit. Okay, we got people with different size hands. They might have the little tiny gerbil fingers. If they have that, they're gonna have to pull that trigger slightly different than those of us that have pretty good size mitts there. Okay, let me get loaded up and we'll demonstrate this. Starting with the pistol here. Okay, with the pistol, I'm going to start out with my accuracy position. I'm going more finger on the trigger. Okay, now if I'm going to try to shoot a little faster, I'm going to put a little bit less finger on the trigger. Ready, up. Okay, and I'm doing that by making sure I keep a little bit less finger on the trigger. Demonstrate that one more time for you. Okay, once again, shooting quickly. We'll start with that. Ready, up. Okay, now we're going to go back to shooting accurately, a little bit more finger on the trigger. All right. Okay, now let's work the rifle. Let me get loaded up. Okay, for accuracy, I'm going to put a little more finger on the trigger. Okay, those are going all right down the middle. Now if I'm going to try to shoot fast, I'm going to put a little bit less finger on the trigger. Ready, up. As you can see, I can get a lot more quick movement with that. Let's do that again. Slow fire, more finger. I mean, I've got so much torque, that one even surprised me because it has so much torque with the finger. Now we're going to go fast. Ready, up. Okay folks, that's the tactical tip of the day. I'm Kyle Lamb with Viking Tactics. For those of you that have a lot of gear questions, of course I'm using a Viking Tactics MK2 sling, our padded sling. I'm using a Bravo Company buttstock. I've got the Christensen Arms lightweight rifle with the carbon wrapped barrel. And of course my old standby is my Leupold LCO. Super tough, super durable. Actually I guess those mean the same thing, but this is awesome. It's got a very fine, refined aiming point. I'm using Troy magazines, and that truss trigger that's in this particular weapon is actually something that's made by Viking Tactics as well. For my sidearm, I'm using a SIG 320, a little bit modified here. This one has the Delta Point Pro mounted on it. It's got some fancy grip tape on here, and Al McCall, he actually left the little VTAC dagger there. Looks pretty good, and that's what I'm using today. Okay folks, we'll see you on the range.